This is episode 293 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel Internet Magic Manzano. Will, don't worry about it. Hagwood.
Hello, everyone.
And Ryan, that was too close. Staniszewski.
Yeah, sometimes when you're at a family or friend gathering and there's a really important thing you're supposed to do in the middle of it, you sometimes forget about an hour into it.
We're going to talk about that, I think. We're going to talk about that just a little bit. So as for announcements and news, hopefully you all had a good week, good happy new year. We are over here at GSP getting the train rolling for 2023. Our podcast episode is brought to you by our Gold Squadron patrons. Heroic Squadron voting ends this Wednesday, so we have 2 RZ-2A wings to vote for, a Fireball, a Y-wing, and a T-70X wing. All right? You have those 5 ships to vote for. All the voting is open now and closes on Wednesday, so make sure that you vote. First kind of mini topic, we have the Sector Series. We're approaching 200 people signed up, which is amazing, but you got to make sure if you're signed up for Sector Series that you assign yourself the correct role in our Discord. And if you don't know how to do that, it's quite easy. I'm going to go ahead and show it on the screen right now, and if you are just listening, that's okay too. So you go to our GSP events section, you go to event role assignments, and right here you'll see that it says select the chosen sector below to be assigned the correct role. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, you just go ahead and click the number and it gives it to you. Now, you can't select more than one. It will take you away from the other one, so you just select the one that applies to you, and that'll make it so that I can, tag you guys and be like, hey, Sector 1, pairings are up, so on and so forth. Because as of right now, we have 80-something people in Sectors 1 and 4, and that's not 80-something people who have clicked these buttons. So go ahead and do that. It's about half the people who have done that step. So please go ahead and get that done. Now,
Leon, where again do I go vote for the pilots for Resistance?
That's on. There are polls on our Patreon page.
Patreon, got it.
Mm-hmm. And then we're going to jump right into topic 2, and this is our kind of big section that I want to talk about because I think it's really important. We have here, let me make these things go away. We have the World Championship registrations officially opened and gotten full all at the same time, but I wanted to break down the format and all that. And Ryan, go ahead and share your registration story.
Well, mine's less hectic than some other people's, but I guess I'll explain the whole thing. Is that so? What I alluded to in my middle name, that was too close. So the tickets went on sale at 1 p.m. Central Time Sunday. For Adepticon, Sunday, January 8th. For me, that is 2 p.m. I was at a friend's, their son's first birthday, who's 1 month younger than Ollie, basically. They're going to be best buds growing up. And in the middle of that, it popped in my head. I'm like, oh, I knew I was planning on buying tickets on my phone there. I actually, when I parked at their house, I checked my phone, checked the service, because it was rural-ish Michigan. So make sure my
you gotta watch out.
connection from Verizon is going to hold up, or I need to ask them for Wi-Fi. So I checked that. It was good. I was happy with how it was working on the Adepticon site at base before registration. And then just got caught up in the festivities, the food, the presents, the taking care of Ollie and making sure he's doing good in a new place. And I just turned to Sarah and I'm like, I need to get the tickets, and I look at my phone. It's like 3:15. It's like an hour and 15 past the time that's open. So I open up Depticon site. I'm like, badge, LCQ, done. Like that's all I care about. I don't care about looking at any other events right now. I can modify my cart later. So I get the badge. LCQ was at 121 out of 128. I check out and I'm out and I go and I got it. And then I message. I'm like, I barely just got mine to like a couple of Discords or like Facebook groups, including our own personal Discord that we all chat in. And I believe Will also was just in time too.
Yeah, I sat down and I was like, I was taking a break from some Wingspan. I was like, well, we'll see what's up with everybody. And yeah, I sat down and immediately got that message. And I think when I clicked it went from 2 to 1.
Well, I wonder how that works, because when I went in there to get Kayla's, it also said 2 left. So I wonder if it was 2 left for a long time.
I've heard of multiple people who've like said around the same thing as like what Will said, or like I think I was the last one, or I must have been the second to last one because I was also really close there. And I'm like, I know of 3 other people that have said the same thing. Chat says you're muted.
Every time. All right. So when it comes to the Adepticon card, let me kind of talk about how that works. Essentially, you can add and remove things as needed. And with this year specifically, this Last Chance qualifier, you have a lot of people who go to Adepticon, who play X-Wing once in a while, who added this Last Chance qualifier, not necessarily understanding what it was. And there was also a group of people who added the Last Chance qualifier thinking that's what they needed to do if they had an invite already. So we had this kind of shuffling of people who had an invite already and added the LCQ and took a spot there, and then realized they didn't because they actually read their email, and kind of people shuffling in and out of having those spots and not having those spots.
Yeah, because I think there's actually some point today where it said there were 3 available. So There's likely people who have said, oh, wait, I have an invite, and just got rid of it, got put back in the pool. I don't know what it's at now. While I forgot about that for about an hour and 15 minutes, I looked back at some of the chat history and some other friends and what they went through when they got on immediately. It was about a half hour of just the site was dead. Like, everyone who tried to register for Adepticon stuff crashed the site, basically. Some people barely got in. So, it really didn't start for a half hour. So, because of that lockout, essentially, for a bit, to really get in and buy the LCQ tickets, I don't know if I would have made it with that hour 15 forget time.
Yeah, so we'll see what ends up happening there. I know I did put in a request to see if we can get more spots for that LCQ because it seems like there's demand, right? If we can open up more spots and they can see the wait list, but because this is it's not a community event, it's not Adepticon's event, it's AMG's event. There's some hoops that need to go through, as well as space management, which is probably at this point when you have events that are full, they say, okay, we have X rows of tables, and I'll tell you exactly when they're in Adepticon planning, they're looking at rows of tables. All right, X-Wing is going to take this many rows of tables, and they're going to look at everything, and as we get closer, they may end up opening more spots because they're going to realize, all right, hey, X game in the hall isn't doing anything. If we should shift the table usage in this area, we can add 20 seats or something like that. So my advice, I know it's difficult if you're trying to plan travel for the LCQ, but there may be tickets that pop up later, especially if you're a little bit more local. There are side events happening throughout the entire weekend: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that should be a good time. So make sure if you go ahead.
Tickets are transferable, so start looking through the dark webs, like through the reseller market. Go on StubHub. Ticketmaster doesn't do resales, but yeah, like StubHub or one of those.
You might find it. I don't know if people out there reselling Adepticon X-Wing tickets.
Here, $5.
I'm aware of people who wanted to buy tickets for multiple games, even though the structure that we're about to talk about for X-Wing, the structure is the same pretty much for Legion, for Armada's probably one less day. Any game they have set up is like very similar structure. So if you're trying to do like Legion and X-Wing, you probably can't do both. So people might have bought tickets for both and figure out later which one they really want to do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It'll end up shuffling out. I will say one of the things that is in. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know, I am not the organizer for the Adepticon thing. I'm just streaming. That's it. Streaming, and that's fine. Especially with the new baby and stuff like that. Honestly, would have been just another thing on top of the plate. So it's cool. But one of the things in the event packet that I know Chris Allen is the one running it. He's like the TO. He's too nice to say it, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. In there is like, hey, if you have a ticket to Worlds already, if you're guaranteed to get into Stage 1, you should probably not play in the LCQ. I'm just saying. Adepticon doesn't have a way to keep those people out. Like there is no way to gate that.
There kind of is. Isn't the TO can gate that?
Yes, but at the same time, when it comes to the way C-Vent is set up currently for Adepticon, each of those things are their own individual tickets. And there's no way currently for them to do like an A/B modifier. Like if you have Friday, you're not allowed to take Thursday. They don't have that set up.
True, but what they can do is I think Chris Allen's the TO, right?
Right.
What they can do is they can see, like once it's sold out, which it's sold out. They can just run a list and say these are all the participants, and then they just do a VLOOKUP on the invitational list and say, hey, these two match. This person should not be.
I agree with you. What I'm saying is,
if you don't know how to do a simple VLOOKUP on an Excel sheet,
it's not that he doesn't know how.
I think it's less about doing it. It's the accessibility to get that information from Adepticon, from the C event, et cetera, et cetera. Does Chris have the access to all of that now, or will he in some future that matters to get people to not do what Dion is talking about?
Right. Anyway, the point I was getting to, in his literature, he says, please don't play in the LCQ. I am telling you, don't play in the LCQ. Okay? From what it sounds, if you have an invite. Okay, correct. The context. If you have an invite, stay out of the LCQ. There are more people who want to come. More diverse pool of people playing X-Wing is a good thing. All right, so if we can get 10 extra people in there, that's awesome. I don't mean to rain on parades. If you're like, I wanted to practice an extra day, do some pods or something.
If you want to practice, there's legit a warm-up event during the LCQ for any invite.
Bam.
Yeah, I ended up buying the practice event. So while Kayla's doing the LCQ, I'm going to be doing the practice one. So yeah, it's the same day. It runs the same time as the LCQ. Actually, they should. I would be happy to say, okay, refund me my $10 for the practice event and use those tables for the practice event and just get more LCQ people in there. I would be completely fine with that. Just get rid of the practice event and get more.
Give up the space for practice and just dedicate.
Yeah, because there's a practice Wednesday event. Practice in your own time. buddy. Get more people in the LCQ. I think
Was there
that'd
a
be-
practice Wednesday event? I didn't even look at Wednesdays.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about Wednesday, but it's the same day as the LCQ.
So Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah. The practice event's the same day as the LCQ, so just kick us out and we'll practice in our rooms or something.
Yeah, I mean, I know once they have an event and people signed up, they're pretty committed to it. But I would not be surprised if we get some extra spots, but don't expect it to be like an extra 100. But what I'm hoping is that this type of seeing 128 out of 128 show up in something like that is awesome, and that shows AMG Adepticon for next time. Hey, maybe we need more space for this. Maybe we got to allocate tables a little bit different. Because I mean, last year we had 200 something. 200 and change. I have to look it up for our event. So I was pretty confident they were going to fill it, but I know it being a world championship, they have, obviously we're trying to crown the world championship at the same time, so we have some different priorities. But anyway, let's go ahead and let's kind of break down, for those of you who are in the competitive scene, what are the world championships looking like? What are the steps you need to take in order to get that crown? And Marcel, we'll go ahead and start with Thursday. What's happening Thursday? How many spots? How many rounds?
All right. Thursday is 128 spots, 5 rounds, last chance qualifier. And basically it is top how many ever needed to fill the total spots available in the actual Worlds tournament. Which is, I mean, you guys are going to talk about it, but it's 180. So how many ever people don't show up? Because it's not just who got the invite, it's who's got the invite and who's attending. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't think there's that many invites. It's probably, like 50, 60 invites going around?
I think
I'm
I'd
not sure.
closer to about 75, because we got to think about, it's the invite, because there was a period before the last Worlds where they said you could use it for this Worlds because it was so close for traveling and like planning your own ability to get there, or the next one. Turns out the next one was going to be 3 years later.
So how many invites are around, and how many people are actually making the trip
probably a
and
lot
still
more.
playing? Yeah.
I would say 75 to 80 would be my
Yeah,
guess.
so probably maybe if they have 128 spots, if they don't open up more spots, your chances are pretty decent that you make the next day.
Yeah, in the description for the actual LCQ event, they say minimum 16 will get in. So that's like the minimum. So let's say there were, I'm obviously exaggerating, 180 invites that had gone out and 180 people registered. There would end up being 176 people playing. Minimum.
96.
96. That's how math works. Okay? 196 people minimum. So, at least 16 people are going, but essentially the goal of that tournament is to fill up that first stage. And speaking of that first stage, Will, what's happening on Friday?
Okay, so on Friday, it's going to be Swiss Stage 1. That has the invites plus the last chance qualifier to about 180 spots. You're going to do 5 rounds that day, and you'll need 8 points to move on. That's the tournament points, which we're looking at. Essentially, you need 3 wins to move on. You can get it only, it looks like, through the math here. If you get 3 draws. That 4th draw, though, that's going to take you out. So really looking at the 2 losses here is the main thing. 2 losses, and you're not moving on to Saturday, or to the final cup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I broke that down to kind of give people an opportunity to know how, what's their goal. If they're looking to get into that second stage, you basically have 2 options. 3 wins, 2 losses, or better, or 2 wins and 3 draws. So in order to get that 9 points, because a win is is 3 points, and a draw is 1.
So couldn't the one of those so win, 2 draws, and 1 loss would give you 8? Not
Correct. Yes, that's the other option. Yes, absolutely. I forgot that one. I can fix
lose
that.
1, draw 2, win 2 to get you 8. That is the lowest bar.
Yes, I knew it was missing one.
Drawing 2 games. It's hard enough for me to draw 1 game.
All right, so let's go ahead and fix that. Yeah, hello. Well, it doesn't want to, apparently. Whatever. All right. Anyway, what's happening on Saturday?
So on Saturday is Swiss Stage 2. Is another 5 rounds. Everyone that made that 8-point mark from Stage 1 will move on to Stage 2. And simple as basically the top 8 players will move on to the cut on Sunday. Strength of schedule will matter. Dion, I guess we don't know, probably a Chris question, but does that strength of schedule matter just for Stage 2 or strength of schedule overall between Stage 1 and Stage 2?
So I literally asked this question earlier today to clarify. All of the scoring carries over from day 1. So everything from Stage 1 counts on Stage 2. So it's not a fresh slate in any way. And that's one of the things I was thinking with that is that means submarining is a bad idea, right? You want to try to get wins early. The earlier you can get wins, the better, because that means you are playing higher quality opponents when it comes to SOS. No offense if you lose your first round. We're just talking about when it comes to strength of schedule. You're playing people that have higher strength of schedule because they're starting out with more wins at the time you are playing them. So yeah, that SOS is definitely going to matter because essentially when we get to round 6 of a 10-round Swiss tournament, 5, those people who didn't make day 2 or stage 2, effectively for round 6 through 10, they're adding zeros on your SOS.
Okay, so wait. So you're saying that it all carries over. It's not. It doesn't refresh and say.
For your
round
SOS and total points, I would assume.
Right.
I genuinely hate that because you have no control over round 1, 2, and 3. But the people that already made day 2, like you're kind of at an even playing field. But if you advance with somebody who dropped after 2 rounds on day 1, I mean you're just kind of SOL at that point.
That might be something to ask Chris if he's handling drops a little bit differently on the SOS or not, because I know he's been doing a lot of research the past couple months in tournament organizations across not just X-Wing, but like getting as much research information from other game systems and what they've used. And this is the template we're seeing is more Swiss rounds, less of a smaller of a top cut to help really funnel out and determine the people who should be in a top cut elimination, and let more Swiss rounds determine the better of and more well-rounded of the lists and players who can make it to the top cut. And I could see, like Dion said, submarining, it's not a good thing to do if you want to get to that top 8, because you're more likely, if you lose your first 2 games in stage 1, you might make stage 2, and you might win out those games. It might be okay, but if those 3 games you won in stage 1 to get to that 3 and 2 to make stage 2, you probably were in a bunch of elimination games, right? So like you said,
you just didn't realize it.
Yeah, you were in a bunch of elimination games, and you're eliminating players that are no longer going to be able to play in stage 2. So however that all maths out, I mean, you really are going to want to win as many games as you can. I mean, it sounds obvious, but we've seen plenty of people have success by submarine. It's not that it can't be done. It's just you're going to have it, like, by the end of it all, it's going to matter that you got wins often and early.
So I'm going to quote you the message, part of the message where we're going back and forth here. And Chris said, there's SOS complications that are more complicated than I can type out right now. So essentially, he's aware that day, stage 1, those people being dropped, essentially, starting in round 6, which was what it is effectively, will create some things. And it sounds like he's going to manage that. Not sure what that means. I'm going to definitely be asking and trying to figure out exactly what that means. That's my job, all right, to be helping you guys and make sure you guys have that information. But essentially, what we're playing is a 10-round tournament. That's what Worlds is. It's a 10-round tournament. And with that, if you go to a... now, mind you, this doesn't calculate draws, okay? If you take this Swiss calculator right here, and we start with 180 players, okay? 100. We're gonna call it effectively 180. Just for their math, they're calling it 180 because we don't have 180 invites. That's that situation. If you take a look at round 10, by the time we get to round 10, so this would be the final, there will have been one person who was undefeated. Okay, mind you, these are of course elimination rounds. One person who, sorry, those are not the elimination rounds. End of rounds 2. You have one person undefeated, one person who has only one loss, and 8 people that have 2 losses. So essentially, when it comes to the SOS, there's going to be 8 people, roughly, that are really fighting for that. So if you got your 2 losses later in Swiss because you've been playing other people who have been winning, you have a higher chance of making the cut versus someone who had their 2 losses early and have been playing against other people who have been losing. It is a 10-round Swiss.
Yeah, I think that's where SOS starts to actually work noticeably better than MOV is when you have this many more rounds. And you have a higher chance to be with those higher win players.
And that's also the compromise that has to be done when you do a top hard cut, right? There's a specific number. That's where you have to draw that line. So, I mean, Marcel, essentially the solution is just don't lose, bro. Just don't lose, right?
Noted.
And yeah, and obviously when we get after that, we've gone through 10 rounds. We're gonna have 8 people. At the end, when we get to Sunday, our top 8 cut, total of 4 rounds. 3 rounds to find out who our champion will be. I saw a question in the chat from Twitchy5x5. Is GSP streaming this event? Yes, we are going to be streaming the World Championships. What that setup is going to look like exactly, I know some people are like, are you going to bring back GSPN? That was a fun but costly endeavor, and I don't know if we can pull that off. But what I do plan on having is what we've been doing our last few live streams, where we have a single table and then we have a camera where we can take a peek at another game. All right, we will have that going, be able to take a little peek, take a little dabble, see how things are going, especially when it comes to that top 8 cut. I know, Chris, we're planning on doing it's cool layout, and I know that there were people who were there live who really liked that we were able to put some of the games up on a TV for you guys to watch, so you weren't have to crowd. We're going to try to pull that off for you guys as well again. So watch out for that if you're going to be there live. So World Championships, are you pumped? Let's go. You have your lists already picked out, right? Will, Ryan, Marcel?
I have.
No.
Phone full of them.
You have a phone full of lists. The Rolodex. Click. Oh man, yeah, I'm excited. This should be an absolutely great time. Let's see if there's anything else.
The factions I'm not playing, at least.
Ooh, what's the tea? Who have you crossed off your list? Who are you not giving a rose?
I mean, the easy one is Scum because I sold most of it anyway.
Fair.
Probably Rebel. Cross those 2 off.
Okay. Marcel, can you get us Couple of factions you're not playing. You don't got to dial in the exact faction.
Not playing Separatist for sure, and I would say Scum also. I'm not doing Separatist or Scum for sure.
All right, Will. 2 factions that you are not playing.
William is giving me a funny look because I picked Scum.
Yeah, I know.
He's like, this Scum list is going to be so great. I'm going to take to the Teams Championship.
Because you get to choose.
I know.
But you're also Marcel. You've done plenty of Scum in your past.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I like
your
Scum.
thing.
It's fun, but I'm not going to
You're going to
take it to
disappoint your
Worlds.
fans.
I can tell you that I'm definitely not flying Resistance, and I doubt I'll fly Republic. I think there would be a higher chance I fly Separatist over Republic.
Fair. All right, and obviously I'm going to be behind the camera, so I will not be flying any faction. But I'm excited to see what you all bring. We're of course going to be breaking down all those stats when we get there in person. That's a couple months away, and we'll be before you know it, we'll be broadcasting live from Adepticon World Championships 2023, the first one back in 4 years. How many World Championships have we skipped over? 3?
Well, we had 19.
We have 19.
2021, 2022.
So we've skipped over 3. All right. So we'll
Now,
find
Dion,
out.
as a little fun thing for you, since you didn't pick what factions you're not playing, out of us 3, which one do you think is most likely to break their promise of who wasn't going to take their faction that we just said?
Oh, Marcel. Easy.
I was not meaning to set him up that way. I thought he was going to think more about that.
Cha! Set him up, tear him down. Yeah, of course. Marcel, I think, is the most likely to wake up the day of the tournament and go, actually, I want to fly this other thing. Okay.
I remember at the Canada Nationals, I borrowed ships because I didn't want to fly what I brought.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up borrowing ships from my fellow Canadians to say, like, hey, build me something new.
Yep. I think Will is, if we're doing superlatives, Will would be probably...
Let's be honest with you. I'm just going to steal a winning list a week and a half before the tournament.
Most likely to
So,
net list.
Let's take a look at the top 4 of LVO, and then that'll be one of Will's lists.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and most likely person to doubt what they're bringing and probably end up bringing the thing that they were going to bring would be Ryan. Just
Still have doubts, but bring it anyway.
right, still have doubts, bring it anyway. And only brings it anyway because it's the World Championship. I think if it's another tournament, ends up bringing something else and then regretting it later. All right.
Yeah, that was Gen Con.
Yeah.
That's 100% Gen Con. I did the latter of that. I should have stuck with what I was trying the entire time, even though I had doubts.
All right. So that's the World Championship breakdown that we have for you so far. We're going to roll into our list of the week continuations because we had so many submissions. Thank you guys so much for your submissions. That I wanna break some more of these down, and we got some cool lists and some interesting questions being brought up. So let me go ahead and adjust my screen for you. While we're doing this, I saw Lambolo in the chat saying he's excited to come out to Adepticon. It'll be great to see you, my friend, in person, and it'll be swanky. It'll be awesome. All right. So first list of the week. It's a Empire list. Who wants it? Who wants it? Anybody?
I'll take it.
Woo.
Where are
Go
we
for
starting at? What's the name of them?
GN Bob. I did all the stuff I did put in the notes.
Oh, fantastic. All right, GN Bob has brought as you said, an Imperial list, and they wrote up a little report for us, saying, I really like Bell's ability. That's the new I-5 double shot TIE heavy, the brute, if you will. This list is built around him. I'm using Mauler Mythal and Backstabber to try to have a good offensive with the boy pilots. Adding in Iden to increase their survivability, and then second sister as a flanker. Main problem was the position of Ubel. Where I tried from the sides, he got too far away. When I tried from the middle, he was quickly destroyed. Well, I would like you to help me. You can change everything in the list except for Ubel. His look can be changed. This is a competitive list or just for fun. So I think that's asking us after taking a look at it here. So flight leader Ubel, as I said before, takes a second attack when a friendly takes a damage card. It's at range 0 to 2. So kind of a blend of like Quick Draw plus Dengar, but for your whole team. This is built out with Trick Shot, Synced Laser Cannons, Agile Gunner, and the Target Assist Droid, so you can get extra calculates if you don't have any green tokens and are not stressed. We have those Mauler and Backstabber boys out there with their offensive upgrades and afterburners. Got Iden out there with elusive ion cannon. And then second sister with juke and shield upgrade. So I like the jousting triple block out there of the two boys and Iden. I think that could bring a lot of attention away from Ubel. And then, as you said, second sister on the flank there. Now. Let me check the TS, but I know 6-point pilots are pretty rare, but are there other 5-point pilots that could be put into there?
I think, just hear me out on this one.
Okay.
All you need to do with this, honestly, if you want to keep a belt and still make this competitive, is swap out second sister for what is the I3 the I3 coordinator 3-pointer?
Magna?
Yeah, Magna. Yeah, Magna, and that way you can get Ubel, like on the turns that Ubel is probably going to get bombarded, double action and reinforced.
They want more ties, is what you're saying.
Yeah, 2 more. So you're going to take the I3 generic at 2 points, and then the coordinator at 3 points. And the coordinator, you don't have to fly it in a block with everybody else. Like he can genuinely just be depending on matchup dependent. If Ubel's gonna be taking a hit again, he can be your a way to get him modded plus reinforced on those turns. And it also, with that 2-point throwaway, it allows you to play around with the points a little bit, so that you can get a bunch of Ruthlesses out there. Ruthless on a 2-point ship, especially when you have like that I5 jousting and it could double hit, you can probably push some additional damage in, and just double get a couple extra toys basically. So that's probably what I would do. Second sister is awesome. I love second sister.
Sure, and I just checked through the different like 5-point cost pilots, and yes, the shield upgrade second sister might be the best value out of all those as a solo piece. There's some Merrick lovers out there, but you don't want to. If you're a dedicated flanker, you don't want other people's support. You want to be able to do it all by yourself. Now, you brought up Ruthless, so I'll drop this out of here. I got a lot of games in with Magna when she first came out, and Squad Leader, heavily educated, and Magna is just, man, what a piece. If you brought a Reaper before, a 4-point Reaper, just to coordinate, you just bring a 3-point ship down. Now you're talking about Ruthless. Is there any changes you would make then to Ubel to get that Ruthless on there?
To Ubel? Yeah, I would probably...
I would drop Trick
The
Shot
edge-
down to Ruthless, and then change the Gunner to Tiber Saxon.
Agreed.
Really, you guys
That
don't like the
Tiber-
agile
that-
gunner, huh?
That Tiber at I5, along with Mauler and Backstabber, makes those other ships much harder.
Especially if you're doing ruthless and you can guarantee that initial hit, and then the follow-ups are going to be strained. Yeah, because that
3
because
points
Tiber, Tiber you can dump both strain. You're not limited to just straining one. So if you land it, you can dump both strain, and now the follow-up shots from Mauler and Backstabber are going to be
Or your
double
own
modded.
follow shot.
Yeah,
know what I mean?
double
It
modded
will-
because you got your focus, you've got your ruthless, and then you've got the debuff with the strain. So it makes it hit. So that's a good one. Dion, are you updating these, by the way?
Sorry, I was getting. People were asking.
He's okay. He's okay.
I mean, I
Let
think
me-
we're still in big
You guys have talked about it, but different variations. So
No. I think I don't have honestly another. What do I say? Another great avenue to take. I think that the jousting block of Time Fighters is enough to get people to turn their back on Ubel, or at least not start shooting him right away. Plus, you're not bringing any shields, so every damage is going to activate Ubel. The range 2 band on him is going to be important, though. My last question, though, about this list then is cannon selection. They went right to Saint Lacer and Target Assist. Is that the best options? To me, I don't like not having a 4 dice range 1 or just a 4 dice attack at all from the ship. No heavy laser cannon, nothing like that. With the loadouts you gave, we do have the points for heavy laser cannon and ion cannon. What is the value of not bringing, or is there value, I guess, to not bringing the Saint Laser?
I think because Ubel can shoot twice, the synced laser then pushes itself over the need for the 4 dice for whether it's a range 1 ion cannon or the HLC, which since HLC is only on the front. You're here to bring Ubel to do as much damage as possible before he gets burned off the board. Because you got to expect every game Ubel's going to get burned off the board. He is in the list you guys are shifting to where Ubel is not only a very threatening piece, can do damage very well and debuff enemies for the Mauler Stabber combo to do damage. He's also the most points at 5. So he's easily going to draw the most aggro. He's going to be about trading as much as possible to do as much damage on his way out because he has only 1 agility. He is going to die. I actually went the route of taking Seventh Sister and upgrading her to Yavin Vader and taking Iden down to a Black Squadron ace.
I thought about that to get the extra Vader
while
in there.
Iden is nice for that additional, we know she helps protect TIE fighters, I think she's much more valuable on lower initiative TIE fighters, and you want to let these Yavin, Mauler, Backstabber to freely afterburners and not have to worry about Iden trying to hang around in a weird range 1 when she moves before them because of initiative.
That's true. Someone had ran something very, very similar to that and had big success with Ubel. So I guess that depends on if you can fly more TIE fighters versus, wanting to have Vader in there. Because Vader should be near those TIE fighters. I guess they could just rely on their own ability.
From them, and then,
Yeah, that's true. I was thinking that their ability is only Darth Vader for a second.
No. Their abilities each other or Darth Vader. So, and I think in that list, we saw it show up twice at PAX, and once made the final, once made cut in the Ubel, Mauler, Backstabber, Vader, Black Squadron Ace. And I think what it excels at is that it's doing a lot of damage up front. Vader, unless played poorly, shouldn't be really easy to get. So the default thing to try and take off the board is still Ubel, but then you have Vader still on the board and the Mauler Stabber combo. And Mauler Stabber is still the ships you probably want to take off too, because you may not have enough firepower to kill that Vader the rest of the way. You have to choose really early on when you face this type of list. if you can and should go after Vader first instead of Ubel. It's a tough decision.
Interesting.
So let's go ahead. How do we let's box this up real nice? Let's put a bow on it, Will. Which version do we want to give them?
You know what? Let's take the bunch of TIE fighters, just because we've seen the other version before. It's out in the ethos. So let's take the Sing-2 laser cannon, Tiber Saxon, and we're actually going to take a tactical scrambler.
So what's the pilot? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, that's Ubel. Ubel ended up being a ruthless Sing-2 laser cannon, Tiber Saxon, and tactical scrambler. You can go baffle, but I think you might actually use tactical scrambler more when Ubel inevitably just smashes into the enemies.
And then tactical scrambler. No, I'm missing something here. Did I
You need synced, not heavy.
synced? Got it. There it is. All right. And then for TIE fighters?
Yeah, we'll just keep. Drop second to Magna and a black squadron. Get some I3s out there. Magna Tolvan with squad leader and heavy laser cannon. There's just something about coordinating and then shooting a 4 dice modified attack at range 3 that I just can't get over on that ship.
All right, so there is your final version. Hopefully that helps you out. We'll get that posted on Discord later tonight for you. All right, our next one comes to us from a new player. His name is Tom. His screen name is Automatom, and I'd like for us to go ahead and go through this together because we are very far from removed from like our first list or somebody kind of telling us at first what may be good, what might be bad, and how to fly. Tom says, I'm a relatively new player to this game. I was told this list was good when I came out with it, but I'm struggling to win with it. How should I be flying the TIE Advanced V1? I've been flying them in a swarm to take advantage of HAL Runner's ability. So we have Darth Vader in the TIE X1 with marksmanship, fire control system, afterburners, and shield upgrade. Merrick Steele with Predator, marksmanship, fire control, shield. Juno Eclipse with marksmanship, optics, fire control. And then a HAL Runner with shield upgrade. So I do see a couple of issues off the bat that Tom, you are going to learn about. So first, let's start by taking a look at HAL Runner's ability. So, HAL Runner has that ability when a friendly ship at range 0 to 1 performs a primary attack. That ship may re-roll 1 attack die. Yes, and I know that you're trying to get those TIE X1s to be able to fire a little bit more accurately. The problem is you have Darth Vader and Merrick Steele. Let's talk about Darth Vader. Darth Vader likes to be a little bit more solo, right? Has the afterburners, has the ability to move around a little bit. Doesn't really want to be clamped down into a range bubble. And especially with objectives right now, most of the time you don't want to actually fly in a block because that means that you are not able to get to different parts of the board. So I think
it's also really easy for the enemy to track you as well. If you all are facing one direction and you're all going to 3-bank, it's very easy to lead you and get shots on anybody they want.
So the first thing I think my suggestion is going to be is, guys, we either need to get Tom some other TIE fighters and maybe get rid of Merrick Steele and Juno Eclipse, or we get rid of HAL Runner and fill out the list from there. What do you guys think?
I would downgrade Darth Vader to Battle of Yavin Darth Vader to get an extra point.
Because they're built very similarly.
Yeah, so just get that extra point there and bring HAL Runner. It's going to sound repetitive, but bring HAL Runner down to Magna and particularly because
No.
Marique and Juno can both benefit from that additional action because they both require a target lock in order to get their offensive output. Plus, they want to have focus. So one of those will benefit from having, and actually Vader also, because you're downgrading Vader, is not getting those multiple actions as well. So that coordinator actually comes in really handy, and that gives you basically an objective getter at 2 points. It sounds repetitive because that's similar to what we did in the last one, but that's I mean, and you know, we used to do like Jingle Jingle Wampa.
Yep.
Every time that I build in Empire these days, I always go back to like, what's the best 5 points out there? Magna and a throwaway objective getter, and then I got 15 points to play with to, build whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Empire for me, it's all bring the boys, bring the trench run hunters themselves. Vader, Mauler, Backstabber. At least when I look at this, I agree. Bring the Vader down. It's built very similarly. It already has the built-in shield upgrade. You have marksmanship. You have afterburners. You had the bonus hate in there. I like Juno Eclipse at 4, actually. I prefer her with passive sensors and crack shot, so she can choose an engagement where she's going to lock and then use her ability to in-engagement boost after locking with passive sensors. I think Magna's fine, too, in this. And then I just take and I don't have Merrick Steel. I think with the extra 2 points, I take Merrick Steel and change him into Mauler Backstabber. So it ends up being Vader, Juno, Magna, Mauler, Backstabber. So you have Magna kind of hanging out with Juno mostly to give Juno the focus, passive sensors, do her ability, lock and do her ability in engagement phase. You got Mauler Backstabber duo, and then Vader hanging around doing his thing.
Mauler, Backstabber. So what I'm going to do here for you, Tom, is we're going to kind of give you a palette to choose from here. Mauler, Backstabber, right? Backstabber. So obviously this is at 127 points. I'm not sure if you have enough TIE fighters to do this, but I would assume you have at least 2, right? Depending on what you got here. But yeah, I would agree as well. The Merrick, little expensive there. You have some ideas here. Now, I want to talk about approach here. I want to take a second and just do a little drawing here for our friends. So Tom, hopefully you do watch the podcast or you can watch this video. We're going to go ahead and make this a square. All right. And just to illustrate really quickly what Will was talking about earlier, he was mentioning that, when you are staying in a formation, it's much easier to track you overall, right? It's significantly easier. So if you kind of have this type of, your starting locations for rocks, and you're looking at your bottom edge, if you have all 4 of your ships, you have this 4-block formation, and they're always moving together, it's extremely predictable. Your opponent knows that, okay, only thing I really need to pay attention to is what's going on here. It's very different versus having what I believe gave you were 2 different 5-ship lists. Okay, Darth Vader is okay alone. You can have Magna. Usually, what are you guys thinking? In the middle, if you have Magna, kind of being able to go left to right as well as your objective getter, and then any extra pieces can either go on one side. Maybe you support Vader, but you don't necessarily stay in formation. Later on in the game, and you have options now to take your pilots in different directions because they're not clamped down into range 1. Howlrunner has essentially fallen out of favor quite a bit unless you are doing a bunch of other abilities that need to be in range 1. You have Howlrunner, Iden, and some other TIE fighter abilities. Do we think we see Howlrunner be successful? I mean, Marcel, when in your TIE fighter swarm, you didn't have Howlrunner, right?
No.
Cold-blooded. Nah,
No,
don't need
I mean,
it. Don't want it.
I mean, he
No,
limits
thank
you. Iden already does that enough, but Iden brings a lot more value than Howl Runner in most situations, unless you're doing like an I5 Alpha Strike. I think Howl Runner probably comes in a little bit helpful if you're doing something like that. You know, Mauler Mythal and the can't think of the other guy, Backstabber at I5 and something like that, where you have a bunch of ships shooting at high initiative and they need to get and they're already flying in formation for some, you know, because they have to be close to each other. I think you get some value out of that, but no, most of the time it's going to be no, because he himself, he's got limited fire output. He doesn't really put out a lot of damage, and he doesn't really do anything defensively himself.
There you go. So, Tom, hopefully you learned a little something. Feel free to reply back to us on Discord if you have any other questions. We have a Separatist list here. Let's go ahead and take a look at that, Ryan. This is coming from Light Brown Pillow.
All right, we have a swarm of some capacity here. See a lot of ships. So we'll go through the list first, and we'll go through the notes. So we'll start with, we have a Fearsome Predator Tri-Fighter. 4 points, utilizing the Intercept Booster, Shield Upgrade, Discord Missiles, Predator, and Advanced Slam, since it does actually get the Slam action from the Intercept Boosters. 32C, the 4-point version, hauling Kraken Fire Control System with 4 unused loadout points. A regular Hyena Separatist Bomber just with Discord. 3 bombardment drones with landing stress. Notes here. Say goal: having fun with bombardment drones, launching mines forward more than dropping them. Generally try to get in close, survive a round, then drop them right on enemies and do damage in the system phase. Cracking 32C lets me carry those important calculates, while the Tri-Fighter and Separatist Bomber have Discord missiles, just additional launching fun times. Question: I originally had delayed fuses on the bombardment drone, so they could fly over their own prox mines if needed, but they got priced out with the latest points. Would it be worth changing to cluster mines or counter nets in order to get delayed fuses back? Guess I'll answer that one first, because it sounds like we're definitely keeping the bombardment drones no matter what. But I think there's a lot we can still work around. I think you still take the prox mines. They're still really powerful. You just have to make sure you hit them. Just get to where you need to go and drop it on, and just know that you're going to drop it on someone directly. That way you are able to not have to worry about flying over it, basically. I would recommend, though, and this is part of what I would switch around, the Separatist Bomber, I don't think I'm just here to bring a Discord missile. You can do that at 2 points with a Vulture. I think you can just ixnay that out for now. I wouldn't switch a Vulture back in because I want to see what's available. There are much better 4-point Tri-Fighters than the Fearsome Predator. I know it can bring Discord missiles, but I don't think it's necessary to do on a Tri-Fighter. And then 32C ability could be potentially really good, but for 4 points for a Hyena, that's a tough buy right now. Hasn't seen a lot of success in the past. I think you can solve that calculate problem by just putting independent calculations as your mod on the bombardment drones. So I would say we also just get rid of 32C for now, and then put independent calculations on all 3 bombardment drones. So our baseline is 3 bombardment drones, and we have 11 points left. We can either supplement that with more vultures if you want to bring stuff with Discord missiles. So let's say we just opted for that, and you want to bring a lot of stuff and a lot of things to put in front of enemies. So we're going to take 081 from just the standard 081, since we're doing independent calculations anyway with Discord missiles. And then we're going to do a couple of Separatist drones, so we max out our Discord missile taking at 3. So we'll have 3 bombardment drones, we'll have 2 Separatist drones, and 1 O81. All the vultures with Discord missiles, and the bombardment drones all with proximity mines. We have 5 points left. Coincidentally, one of the best 5-point ships in the game is available with General Grievous. And I would take that. If you want to bring stuff to put things in front of enemies and say deal with it with my droids, bring all those droids and say Grievous is looking to get some outmaneuvers along the way while you're trying to avoid all those pie plates and discords. You might be doing some weird maneuvers, and Grievous might be expecting that and take full advantage of that with some outmaneuver rerolls.
Bam. There it is. So if you want to bring, I mean, I would agree. Basically, what Ryan's suggesting is here are your best swarming pieces in Separatist. Go have fun. If you want to do swarm, this is how you do it.
Yeah. Now, if you want to, like, so if you were someone who say, I'd really like to keep a tri-fighter in there, you could say, okay, you would probably lose some of these vultures, because I think Grievous is something that is still very valuable, extremely valuable in Separatists. Hard to leave him home. And he can fit in this. You could drop the 2 Separatist drones that are each 2 points. You would lose 2 Discord missiles, but then you would gain an I-5 tri-fighter like Volan Das. So you could do that. If you prefer to keep a tri-fighter in list, I would assume you have at least 3 vultures if you're bringing Separatists, because they come. You own at least 2 if you own a Belba Lab. Let's put it that way, because you bought the Separatist back. But let's say you just really want to use the tri-fighter. You can ixnay the 2 Separatist drones and put in Volan Das, and you don't get the intercept boosters, but you do get an I-5 tri-fighter who can take a couple smattering of upgrades. Whether it's, I think you either say, I'm going to go the shield upgrade route, where you go shield, predator, and then just take dead man switch because you got the 2 points in the illicit slot. Mm-hmm. Or you go the notorious route, where you take like overtuned modulators or contraband cybernetics and notorious, and then you have 4 points left to do with a missile, whatever you want, whether it's cluster missiles if you take overtuned, or mag pulse for some utility at I-5 for some jam and depleting.
All right, there you go. I know we haven't seen too much success for tri-fighters in the main game. I will say, though, Siege of Coruscant, tri-fighters, when they can just come back every turn.
There's been a lot of people who've been just like, I'm not paying 5 points for a tri-fighter with T-81 until, like, you actually face him or use him. Because I tried him out this past week, and they're like, oh, you're paying 5 points for a tri-fighter. That doesn't seem to make sense. It kind of just works out with the points, but also he's actually pretty good when you could just pick up all your dice and re-roll them at the cost of like a strain or deplete per the dice. And they go, oh, you could do that? I'm like, yeah.
You can do what? Excuse me?
Yeah. And then they're like, but you're strain or deplete. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not dead, or you are dead.
Right.
Because I did re-roll all those dice and got more successful results.
All right, so there you go. There is our third one, and our final one comes to us from Joel Springle, aka Snaggletooth, one of our prodigal players. He's back, baby. If you remember, Joel Springle, great performances in the Galactic Championship Series early on, and was hesitant for a while, but is now back with objectives. So it's good to see friends come back home, right, Will? All right, Will, this one's yours.
All right, let's take a look here then at the next one. We are looking at a resistance squad. And Joel has, lost it. There it is. This started as a quad T-70, since possible again. Then morphed into get as many cheesy mods as possible. Then eventually into this alliteration. This addition. I don't know. Anyways, Neve locks Kova right off the bat. Kova usually uses Leia to get those extra dice. R6D8. That's the everybody's like a team predator with HLC is so good. He mentions. Then says the remaining rough spot is currently held by 9. Add Bastion in there for the freed locks, harkening back to the get as many free mons as you can. But only having a single I5 or higher seems like a bad idea in this current meta. So let's take a look here. So it starts with Nimi. Everyone say that. This is a Heraldton Hope T70 that looks for initiative 3s and higher, because you can change a blank result to a eyeball result. Which is honestly like really good in this meta that very rarely see I2s and I1s. Everybody's reaching for that
so many
3
fours.
or 4s. Yeah, everybody wants to get to 4, but end up settling for initiative 3 a lot. So basically, that ability will always be on. Let's take a look at then M9G8 and Pattern Analyzer on Nimi. Got Kova now with, of course, that Leia Organa R4 Astromech to get your hard turns to be white, even though you can reveal them as red. But because of the price increase on R4, I don't get access to Heroic anymore, so it's taken Marksmanship. First off, take your jamming beam. All right. But let's move on to, and then of course, Kobadel loves those revealed red maneuvers. That's how they get 2 agility and 3 attack. So then the other ones were Elo Etsy with Heroic, Marksmanship, R4D6, and Heavy Laser Cannon. And then 9 with Heroic, Magpulse Warheads, R3 Astromech, and the integrated S foils. So right off the bat, the things I'm noticing is that 9 doesn't have Pattern Analyzer. Let's just rip everything but Heroic off of that right now. 9's ability plus Pattern Analyzer is essentially a 2-action K-turn then. If you can get your 1 action through Pattern Analyzer, then you can clear the stress with your front arc ability. If you gain a stress token, if there's an enemy in your front arc at range 0 to 1, you can remove that stress token. Very hilarious, just to see 9 out there slamming into people to get that stress focus without a stress, and then K-turn behind them as well. This also works with Pattern Analyzer and the linked action. You can focus, and then like close your wings, K-turn, focus barrel roll, and then when you get into that barrel roll should line up 9's ability. You can clear the stress from the roll, and then clear the stress from the K-turn, and get yourself another action like target lock. So Pattern Analyzer, basically a must on 9, though it does weaken his overall, what do I say, abilities to take other upgrades here. After Heroic, oh man, my
question:
Heroic.
Why not Elusive on 9 since you're doing so many reds anyway?
There you go. Okay, sure. Yeah, let's take Heroic let's take Elusive. Love that combination. Do a red move. Now you're getting a defensive reroll and 2 to 3 actions. And then you know what? Let's put on R2HA, because everyone's gonna boo me when I reach for the underslung blasters.
You know what? I'm unironically, if you have less outmaneuvers to deal with if you have just another arc pointing at something. Like, it's just 3 points to say my side arc, one of these side arcs is not going to be outmaneuvered because it's an arc and that's all I care about.
All right, we're gonna go for it. We'll take the underslung. It does have value, especially in those Pattern Analyzer situations, to where you can't get a shot. Well, you just rotate your little arc. You can't shoot that underslung. I think people forget that you can shoot that underslung in combat. It doesn't have to be its fancy snapshot-like ability. Anyways, let's take a look here. I think Elo, fantastic. That party reroll, the party predator, is great. Get the heavy laser cannon out there. Is kind of all in on the bullseyes. Now it's a little bit of a non-boat between marksmanship and heavy laser cannon, but for the most part, all those look good to me. The real question is to me, is Nimi as the last list in this, or last ship in this.
Would you not go? Because I mean, it started out as a 4T70. I would. You can just go heroic, not heroic, but what is it? HOH Poe and Zay Versio. That way you.
I think that becomes
an I5, and you still have 4T70s. And
It's true. If we were going back to the original, trying to get 4, I personally don't like Kova. It's something about being like slow and essentially stationary. I guess they have to back up down because of Leia, but that's just asking to be shot at, you know.
Right.
Well, they
like a
can
270.
use Leia to make the 4 straight and 3 banks white instead of them being red. I think
true.
a lot of people hinge on taking that R4. I think the proton cannon is a good choice, just to be like, hey, I have a bullseye that can hurt real bad. And even when might need to use my ability to coordinate someone, or not ability, but like Leia actually gives the purple coordinate action, or if you need to clear a stress because you had to do some different order of operations for your decision making on Leia for someone else, and you still did a red, whatever you may have done. And I think proton cannon is another offensive threat from Kova than just I'm a 3-die U-wing, basically.
Yeah, basically
small base U-wing.
Interesting. Okay.
So what do we want to send them with 4C70s or want to keep Kova? What do you think, Will? It's your call,
as an
your
option,
list.
because I think they understand that Kova does have value. The other option would be Zay and the Poe and the Heralds of Hope.
that way you get 655, so 3. You get 3 ships shooting at I5 or higher. And
Right,
Zay
and that
is
kind of
pretty-
makes up the point about not having enough high initiatives. When you start getting like Bastion and why can't I remember her name? Jess Pamba. You get real too low initiative, and now you can't initiative kill people. Can't use your boosts and barrel rolls to get out of position, or out of arc rather, into a good position. Heralds of Hope Poe pretty much just needs Torps, heroic, and
Yeah. By the way, you got rid of Elo, not you were supposed to get rid of Nimi, not Elo.
Oh,
Hit the back button. I think.
so turn Nimi into Elo is what you're saying.
yep.
Or just reload the list. Either way, let's take a look at what else. Does Poe need anything else other than proton torpedoes? Does he need paint, or can he reach for? Well, I guess Zay is actually going to be your new carrier then for M9G8, which I do think is a very good ability. Zay normally takes heroic or elusive. I go back and forth on heroic and elusive, to be honest with you. It does about the same thing. Hard to say. Because it's resistance, I would go heroic. M9G8 on that Zay. And then Poe, proton torpedoes, a must. Heroic. Then you guys, what do you reach for? Do you reach for an astromech, or are you trying to get the paint in there?
Probably
Poe.
R4 still, right?
On Poe, you still want R4.
You still want R4, yeah. And then elusive on them too.
What does he got
I
already?
have a hard time.
R4.
I don't know if elusive needs to go up in price, but I've been putting it on everybody for some reason. It's just the value you can get out of it is so high to me that it's hard not to bring.
Yeah, elusive heroic. I mean, if you want to go that way, or you can just go for Ferrosphere and marksmanship.
Ferrosphere is only 3. Let's just go
Marksmanship,
elusive.
Like, that would be if you don't want to
I see what you're
defensive
saying.
route, you can go.
You want to go
marksmanship.
elusive heroic? Is that what you said?
Yeah, elusive, heroic, R4.
Elusive, pick heroic or
proton
elusive, then
torpedoes.
go predator. So your range 1 has a little more oomph to it
Yeah, I
without
agree.
needing double action. I think
Yeah, I think 2 defensive is 2,
that Poe wants to swing really hard.
and then
He dies.
torpedoes.
This one's a much more
protons.
catchable Poe, but he's going to proton torpedo you really effectively. And then his follow-up range 1, if you have predator, doesn't look as bad. It's just a single focus since he only has 1 action.
And I would probably do heroic because he's not doing K
Would,
turns.
So on this list, you would actually lock 9 to start with M9 G8 then. Poe can get his extra rerolls. Elo can get extra rerolls looking for friendly bullseyes. So it's really just 9's opening that you need some support with. But this is a very terrifying squad, to be honest with you. The amount of high initiative, health, maneuverability actually works pretty well. You just have to lean into those the Talon rolls, the K turns, and even Poe helping out. Remember, Poe can Heroes of Hope Poe can use that ability every other turn, but he can use it on somebody else's action. So if your Poe is about to get blocked, make sure you use it for somebody else. He'd even, man, the Heroes of Hope Poe and 9 is just absurd what you can do on a K turn. Get up to 4 actions potentially. 0 stress. Whew. Pretty nuts.
All right, so that leaves us with the 20-point squad. How did we end up building out Elo? Because I'm missing points on him, missing 6 points.
Marksmanship, D6, and then he had a heavy laser cannon. Also,
Also, you kept heroic marksmanship instead of crack shot since you already have R68. I like
yeah,
crack.
I mean it's because you're already focused on. I know it's kind of like a non-bow marksmanship and heavy laser cannon, but when you have 1 point in your loadout with one of the objectives really emphasizing crits, I think it has value to bring still.
Sure. Oh, no, I'm not doubting marksmanship. I'm doubting heroic.
Oh, you really don't like heroic, do you? So
Yeah, you don't need predator. You don't need predator with R4D6. You're not.
No,
Yeah, that's
you
what I'm
already
saying.
have our
Crack,
4D6.
that's why I like crack shot. And just say instead of a 1 point and a 2 point, you just make it a 3 point. Crack shot.
Oh, crack shot and so
It doesn't work with HLC, but that range
don't-
1 when you already have R68 plus
I'm
focus.
terrified. I'm terrified
scary.
of rolling double blank though. Like the time you're trying to hold, you're like, all right, I'm not going to spend my focus on offense. We're going to hold it for defense, and then you just double blank and die.
Yeah. And
Makes
you
me
need-
so sad.
And you do need something to pop crates. So there's nothing else other than that.
Other
proton
than
that pops
murder.
crates.
Pop, pop.
Easy, just kill him.
Yeah, you just blast them. That's not always the case. But yeah, if you're looking for, I don't think the other version was bad, though I would swap out. If you're running a 4T70, look at Zay. Honestly, I think Zay should be in most resistance squads.
She's really good, especially at 4
4
points.
points, decent loadout, like all the upgrade slots you want.
Yeah. I actually think an
Double
underrated
talent,
upgrade
jeez.
on her. Everyone defaults to M9G8, but R2G2 Astromech is like one of the cheapest, least consequence regens in the game because it's an end phase regen instead of a system phase regen, and you only take a deplete for it, and it's 6 points. That can make Zay annoying to try and what people are probably mostly going to try and do initiative kill her.
No, yeah, that's the only weakness about her is that she's I3. But with that defensive reroll against damaged targets, you got high initiative to counteract that, to try to give her some defensive rerolls.
Yeah, you offensive output from that Poe with Proton Torp, HLCs from the other T70s, or crack shot, or whatever you're doing to push damage and make Zay that much harder to kill because now you're getting defensive rerolls.
All right. Well, Joel, hopefully this is to your liking. If you guys remember, if you don't remember who Joel Springle was, he was the 5 Kirax player.
FK, that's right.
Right. So, for anybody who's been around for GSP, he was the one that took it all the way to one of our Galaxy's finals. So there you go. Those are our lists of the week for this week. Feel free to continue getting us submissions. We do love looking at them. We're going to continue digging through the ones that we have each week. And I think next week, Ryan, I'd love to do that topic that you had suggested, starting to take some closer looks at Range Zero. Not Range Zero, excuse me. Turn Zero, something zero. Taking a closer look at Turn Zero. It is probably, for most people, some of the least. I know it can be hard to explain how to get better at Turn Zero. So let's have a conversation, because the more we talk about it, the better we can continue to understand it ourselves, but also just get better explaining it. Because it's one of those, when you first start out the game, you just put your pieces down, you figure it out. And some players have been able to have success with not really caring how they set up. But most of the time, if it's just another way that you can give yourself advantage in the beginning of the game. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, and be smart and be safe. Gold Squadron out.